A very good evening, viewers. You're watching Republic TV. This is Across the Republic with me, Rakshita Mishra. And at 6 p.m., we're going to show you all the top stories of the day that we are tracking, viewers. West Asia is in a quagmire. We are going to tell you how does it affect India? Where does India stand in this conflict? And who's backing the pro-Hezbollah protests in the country? That's a big question, because every day we learn about protest marches sympathizing with the terrorists, sympathizing with the terror group Hezbollah. Also, we'll tell you how the lawful eviction drive in Assam is being politicized now. That's not all. We'll get you what's happening in Pune. A chopper crash has led to the death of 3 people. What happened in that case? We'll tell you. First up, the headlines at 6 p.m.
Presented by Royal Global University. Northeast can't wait. Pado kuch bano.
India reaffirms support to Israel. Jaishankar raises concern over the possibility of a broadening conflict. India urges its citizens in Israel to exercise caution. Lawful drive to evict illegal settlers at Kosutoli in Sonapur of Assam is politicized. The AIUDF says eviction in Kosutoli is inhumane. Hezbollah mourners surface yet again in Budgam of Kashmir. Protests over killing of Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah continues. Chopper crashes in Pune, killing 3 people. Meanwhile, IAF chopper used to distribute flood relief crashes in Bihar's Muzaffarpur. Congress worker with Tiranga in his hands seen removing shoes from the feet of Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah. BJP says the tricolour has been insulted.
Presented by Royal Global University. Northeast can't wait. Pado kuch bano.
Now, viewers, as the war escalates in West Asia, India has clarified that it considers the 7th of October attack a terrorist attack that caused the conflict in West Asia. And amid the Iran-Israel conflict, India has issued an advisory to its citizens in West Asia to avoid non-essential travel. The government says that Indian nationals who are already present in the country must stay vigilant and stay in touch with the embassy. Meanwhile, security has been beefed up outside the Israeli embassy in the country. Also, we're going to tell you how does this entire conflict affect India, India's relationship with both the countries, and of course, what could be India's strategy on this.
West Asia has been on the brink after Iran launched a missile attack on Israel. The world has been divided as the war escalates, with Netanyahu vowing that Iran will have to pay for it. Meanwhile, the centre issued a travel advisory to all Indian citizens, urging them to avoid all non-essential travel to Iran. There are about 18,000 Indian citizens in Israel. Since the establishment of diplomatic relations in 1992, trade between India and Israel has expanded significantly. In his address to the United Nations, Netanyahu also called India a blessing. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar also issued a statement considering the October 7th attack on Israel as a terrorist attack.
Our relationship with our neighbors would be much stronger than it has been since independence. And the reason is very simple. If you look today at how much more regionalized we have become, the world has to recognize that they also have their politics. There will be ups and downs there. As a bigger neighbor, sometimes we end up being part of the political debate.
Meanwhile, security was beefed up outside the Israeli embassy.
As the tension escalates in the Middle East, the security concerns have also come at an all-time high in the national capital. As right now we are standing outside the Israel embassy here in the APJ Abdul Kalam Road. You can see the visuals here. There's a heavy deployment of Delhi police. The security has been beefed up on both the sides of the road. You can see the visuals. None of the vehicles are allowed without a proper check. Police is keeping a proper track of whosoever is entering this particular area. The same kind of precaution is being followed on the other side of the road. This has come in the wake after yesterday Iran launched a missile attack on Israel as alarm sounded across the country.
Even as the situation remains firm, Iran has warned that it would carry out crushing attacks against Israel if it retaliated to the missile attack.
Now, back home in India, fresh protests have broken out in the valley against the killing of Hassan Nasrallah viewers. Remember, there have been protest marches in several parts of the country. That includes Ladakh, Lucknow, and in Budgam. Once again, we saw raising of slogans and prayers, raising of slogans against Benjamin Netanyahu. And the question, of course, remains, viewers, who is fueling these terror-sympathizing protests? Here's a report.
Fresh protests broke out in the valley in support of slain Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah. Mourners came out on the street of central Kashmir after the afternoon prayers, chanting slogans against the killing of the Hezbollah chief in an Israeli strike. The protesters were seen holding posters of Nasrallah, a designated global terrorist, as they condemned the Israeli airstrike on Hezbollah's command center in southern Beirut that killed him.
Once again, protests broke out in central Kashmir's Budgam, main town Budgam, Magam, and also some parts of downtown which are dominated by the Shia population. These all areas witnessed protests against the killing of Hassan Nasrallah. These protesters were mourning the death of Hassan Nasrallah and also were chanting slogans against Israel and US. The protests were peaceful. They didn't turn violent. In fact, the protesters were seen chanting slogans and expressing a condolence with the family of Hassan Nasrallah. These are the protests for the last 5 days. The moment the news broke about the killing of Lebanon leader, we have seen the protests in most of the Shia belts today in Magam as well as in Budgam and in Zadibal area, the Shia dominated areas. The shops were closed, though there was a huge deployment that were seen to see that there is nothing untoward that goes on ground.
The protests followed similar demonstrations in the valley earlier against the killing of the Hezbollah chief. Former Jammu and Kashmir Minister and People's Democratic Party Chief Mehbooba Mufti had called off her scheduled campaign events for a day earlier to mourn the demise of the Hezbollah frontman. Similar protests condemning Nasrallah's killing were taken out in Lucknow, with the protesters flashing mobile torches and tearing up posters of the Israeli Prime Minister. A prayer meeting for the slain Hezbollah chief was also organized in the national capital, with chants against Israel and the US ringing out in the presence of the Iranian and Palestinian envoys. With more and more tears being shed for a slain global terrorist, we ask, what about the Hindus and other minorities being slaughtered in neighboring Bangladesh?
Now, news from Assam. A lawful drive to evict the illegal settlers at the Kosutuli in Sonapur of Assam's Kamrup is now being politicized. Illegal settlers who came to the area after 1950, when the land was declared a tribal area, is being evicted. Now, even as the illegal settlers admit to encroachment, the AIUDF has politicized this drive initiated on the HC order, on the High Court's order. The tribal Sangh, meanwhile, says it stands with the government of Assam. Republic reports from Ground Zero.
The lawful eviction of Kosutoli in Sonapur in Kamrup Metro District of Assam has been politicized. AIUDF called it inhuman.
देखिए आसाम के कामरूप डिस्ट्रिक्ट के सोनापुर सर्कुल एरिया में जो कसुतुली में अभी उच्छेद हुआ, अमानवीय उच्छेद है और गैर कानूनी भी है। सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने अभी हाल ही में स्टेटस को मेंटेन करके सरकार को जवाब देने के लिए बोला है। हम वेलकम करते हैं सुप्रीम कोर्ट के इस डिसीजन को। और आसाम सरकार कुछ भी बोले, गैर कानूनी इसलिए है, जो लोग लैंडलेस है, जिनके पास ज़मीन नहीं है, वो जाएगा कहाँ? वो तो सरकारी ज़मीन पे जाएगा।
This even as the illegal settlers admit that they came and settled after 1950, most in the 1980s and 90s, unaware that the land they settled on is a tribal belt.
On 22nd of August, those illegal structures were brought down by the district administration. Subsequently, as the illegal encroachment issue in Sonapur area, which happens to be a tribal belt declared in 1950, came to light, the government and the district administration of Kamrup Metro jumped into action in order to clear all encroachment and evict the encroachers. As subsequently the eviction drive continued on 12th of September, the eviction drive turned violent and the police had to fire, in which 2 villages were also killed.
They brought more and more people and surpassed the local population living there since 1920s. However, the tribal Sangha has said that it stands with the government and the administration, saying that the eviction was carried out as per the Guwahati High Court order.
So we have been demanding that all the illegal who has come to some part of the Assam and some part has come throughout somewhere, but we demand to evict immediately them to protect our tribal belt and blocks.
The Assam government is carrying out an eviction drive in Kosutoli in Sonpur in Kamrup Metro district of Assam. Those who settled in Kosutoli after 1950, that is after the area under Sonapur Revenue Circle was declared as a tribal belt, are being evicted. More than 5,000 houses and a population of roughly 20,000 people came up in the area after 1950. Republic reported from Ground Zero. Republic also spoke to the locals living in the area since 1920s.
Administration did not demolish or evicted any peoples which are legally eligible to live in the tribal belt and block.
Right now we are in Kosutoli village, and here right now I am standing in front of a school along with a few local residents, and if you see, you can see in Assamese it is written Kosutoli Prathamik Bidyalaya, that is Kosutoli Primary School, established in 1938. Only illegal settlers who have settled after 1950, that is after declaration of Sonapur as tribal belt by the government of Assam, those who have settled after 1950 are being evicted.
Not a single resident who settled before 1950s is being moved. More than 700 houses in Kosutoli since 1920s, and prior to 1950, a population of around 2,200 to 2,500 people are untouched.
Now, a helicopter owned by Delhi-based firm went down in Pune on Wednesday morning, leaving 3 people dead. The deceased includes both the pilots and an engineer. According to sources now, the chopper crashed in the wee hours near Bavdan in Pune district. Sharing the details of the incident, police say that the chopper, which took off from the helipad at the Oxford Golf Club, went down between 6:30 a.m. and 6:45 a.m. Here's a report.
A helicopter owned by a Delhi-based firm crashed near Bavdan in Pune district, leaving 3 people dead. According to local sources, the deceased included both the pilots and an engineer. According to sources, rescuers and a medical team were scrambled to the scene after receiving word of this incident. According to the police, the twin-engine helicopter with a capacity for 6 passengers including crew took off from the helipad at the Oxford Golf Club and crashed between 6:30 a.m. and 6:45 a.m. The DCP of the Pimri Chinchwad, who visited the site of the chopper crash, said it is likely that it went down because of the thick fog in the area in the early hours. He added that aviation regulator DGCA will probe this incident.
आज ऑक्सफोर्ड हेलीपैड बाउदन से हेरिटेज एविएशन का एक प्राइवेट हेलीकॉप्टर टेक ऑफ हुआ। सुबह 7:30 बजे वो टेक ऑफ के तुरंत बाद क्रैश होने की जानकारी मिली है। यहाँ पे रश होने के बाद यहाँ से उस हेलीकॉप्टर में 2 पायलट और 1 इंजीनियर, इनकी डेथ हुई है। उनकी प्राइमरी इंफॉर्मेशन ये है कि तुरंत टेक ऑफ के बाद ही क्रैश का इंसिडेंस हुआ है।
The chief fire officer of Maharashtra, who also surveyed the scene of the crash, said 4 fire tenders and 2 rescue vehicles were rushed to the site as soon as a word of the incident reached the fire services personnel.
When we reached on the spot, we noticed that there is a plane crash and the entire parts were scattered. There is a smoldering fires were burning continuously. We could able to extract 3 casualties, and these casualties were handed over to the police. Now the police has confiscated the entire area.
Meanwhile, in a similar incident, an Air Force chopper crashed in Bihar's Muzaffarpur during a routine mission to mobilize relief in the flood-hit areas. Dramatic visuals showed the chopper going down in the Muzaffarpur district while delivering relief to the flood-marooned locals. The incident in Pune has led to fresh calls to regulate the movement of choppers in inclement weather.
Now, even as Siddaramaiah is facing the heat in the Muda scam, the Karnataka Congress is now facing another controversy. A Congress worker with the tricolour in his hands was seen removing the shoes from the feet of the Karnataka Chief Minister. This happening as Mahatma Gandhi was being remembered on his birth anniversary. And now a man who was present at the spot, he went to that man who was removing Siddaramaiah's shoes and took that flag away. Because this, of course, is garnering a lot of criticism from several quarters, as it also shows the VVIP high-handedness and the insult to the tricolour. Here's a report. As the Muda scam heat mounts on Siddaramaiah, Congress in Karnataka is facing another row. A Congress worker with a national flag in his hands was seen removing the shoes of Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah. This was during an event on the occasion of Gandhi Jayanti in Bengaluru. The national flag was later taken away from the hands of the Congress worker. A man present at the spot took the flag from the worker's hands as he continued removing Siddaramaiah's shoes. Questions are now being raised, as not only it reflects Siddaramaiah's VVIP high-handedness, but also it displays grave insult to the national flag. Facing the Lokayukta police and ED probes on Muda scam, Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah says Mahatma Gandhi's life and thoughts have given him the courage, strength and hope in his current struggle. Meanwhile, a Karnataka court has issued a non-bailable warrant against Muda scam complainant Snehamai Krishna. All right, viewers, a quick look at the stories coming in from across the country now. Leaders paid tribute to Mahatma Gandhi on Gandhi Jayanti at the Rajghat, and visuals right now on your screens from New Delhi's Rajghat this morning. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar criticized China for violating agreements which have led to ongoing military tensions since 2020. He said these tensions have negatively impacted the overall bilateral relationship, which has been strained for the past 4 years. While speaking on the trade, the External Affairs Minister acknowledged that China represents approximately 31 to 32% of global manufacturing and emphasized that trade with China has become largely independent of the political relationship between the two nations.
A long story, but the short version is that we had agreements on how to keep the border peaceful and tranquil, and those agreements were violated by China in 2020. And Because we have forward deployments of our militaries, there are resulting tensions. And until those forward deployments are addressed, the tensions would continue. If the tensions continue, it casts a natural shadow over the rest of the relationship.
On the upcoming Haryana Assembly elections, BJP MP Ravi Kishan exuded confidence that the party will form the government. He also announced that every woman will get 2,100 rupees per month and Agniveers will get government jobs.
सरकार तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी की आ रही है। 2100 रुपया हर बेटियों को मिलेगा, हर लाडली बहन को मिलेगा, हर महीने। हर अग्निवीर में जो भी अग्निवीर के फोर्स में जो भी ज्वाइन करेगा उसको सरकारी नौकरी मिलेगी।
Dera Sacha Sauda Chief Gurmeet Ram Rahim Singh was released from prison in Rohtak after being granted 20-day parole. Once again, he's on parole, and the Election Commission has set stringent conditions for his parole this time, including a ban on his entry into Haryana, public speeches and political activities. Official sources indicate that the state government approved the parole amid claims of emergency and compelling reasons provided by the convict. That's all we could pack in this edition of Across the Republic, but don't go anywhere as we will be right back with Live and Breaking.
The idea that these precision strikes are fundamentally false from what I have been seeing in Beirut and from the amount of damage. I saw some footage in the report that showcased a large-scale damage of civilian buildings.
I'm in Livnim, about 20 kilometers from